The world's richest man has an idea to engage registered voters: cold, hard cash.
We're going to be awarding $1 million to randomly to people who have signed the petition every day from now until the election.
So that's Elon Musk, obviously, trying to get signatures for a petition that, in his words, supports the First and Second Amendments. So his announcement over the weekend in Pennsylvania has a state's governor wondering if that is even legal. CNN's Marshall Cohen is joining us now. You've been looking into this. First off, walk us through, Marshall, exactly what Elon Musk was offering in exchange for what? So, what did the people have to do to even be a part of this?
Sure, Amra. It might not be legal. Just let's get that out of the way, and I will explain why. But I want to be very clear before we get into the nitty-gritty. I'm not saying Elon Musk is going to be locked up or put on trial anytime soon. What we're saying is that some very respected scholars who study election law for a living saw what Musk did and immediately raised legal objections. So you just heard that clip of Musk saying that the prize, the $1 million prize, will be given to people who sign his petition, which, as you mentioned, was affirming your support for the First Amendment and the Second Amendment. Sounds harmless, but that's actually not all you need to do to win the money. If you look at the fine print on Musk's Super PAC website, it says you must be a registered voter in order to sign the petition, and that you can only win the $1 million if you live in one of the battleground states like Pennsylvania and North Carolina, etc. That's the problem, Amara. We spoke to a bunch of experts, and they said that federal law makes it a crime to pay people to register to vote. You can't give them money or a chance to win money through a lottery. Here's what the law says. I will read it to you specifically. Quote, whoever knowingly or willfully pays or offers to pay or accepts payment either for registration to vote or to vote can face up to 5 years in prison. That's the law, and legal experts said Musk could be crossing the line, especially for anyone who hears about the cash prize and then registers to vote. We reached out for comment to Musk's Super PAC. They did not respond. And like I said, this does not mean that Musk is getting indicted. If the Justice Department has a problem with what he's doing, the logical next step would be something like a cease and desist letter. But there is at least one former prosecutor who is calling this out in very strong terms, and that's Pennsylvania Governor Josh Shapiro. He's a Democrat, and he was the state attorney general before becoming governor. He slammed Elon Musk yesterday on Meet the Press. Listen to what he had to say.
I think there are real questions with how he is spending money in this race, how the dark money is flowing, not just into Pennsylvania, but apparently now into the pockets of Pennsylvanians. That is deeply concerning. But when you start flowing this kind of money into politics, I think it raises serious questions that folks may want to take a look at.
So a lot of scrutiny, Amra, for the world's richest man, Elon Musk.
It's interesting how he framed it, right? You just have to sign the petition, but when you read the fine print, like you said, you actually have to be registered to vote to sign that petition.
And that could be the problem.
That could be the problem, exactly. Marshall Cohen, appreciate it. Good to see you.
CNN contributor Derek Muller joining me now. He's a law professor at the University of Notre Dame and also an election law expert. Okay, so Derek, is this move by Elon Musk? So he's saying, I'm giving away $1 million a day. All you have to do is basically sign this petition in support of my Super PAC. And oh, by the way, only people in these very important battleground states are eligible. Is this legal?
So that's been the debate all weekend. On the one hand, you can say he's just paying people to essentially, they're entering a lottery. He's going to give one winner a day $1 million. If you sign a petition, I support the First Amendment, I support the Second Amendment, that's all it is. But on the flip side, that contest is not only open only to those in those swing states, it's only open to those who are registered voters. And so is this an inducement to get people to vote? Is this an incentive to get them to vote? And if that's the case, then it looks like the $1 million a day, the lottery, is being geared toward people who are voting or who are registering to vote, and therefore that's the thing that the federal law is concerned about, paying people to register to vote. So that's what the debate's been about.
So as you noted, there's been this debate all weekend. Do you anticipate seeing any action on this? And what would that involve? I mean, would this involve Attorney General Merrick Garland, because we're talking about federal election laws?
So it could be, right? On the one hand, the Department of Justice can step in and say, this is the kind of conduct we think would breach this law. They could issue those sorts of orders. But that's dicey, right? Do you want to be doing that in the weeks ahead of an election? Usually these are the kinds of things the Department of Justice is going to investigate. They can bring an indictment sometime after the election if they think that there's a problem with it. So it's usually something that a criminal investigation would lay out rather than the Department of Justice getting out ahead of it. At the same time, I imagine Musk's legal team is looking at this saying, wondering, should we restructure this or are we in safe ground? So it'd be interesting to know what their legal counsel is giving them advice to think about.
Investigations don't always move very quickly. So we have 2 weeks now until the election. So is there any precedent here in terms of enforcement, in terms of reaching out and maybe saying to Elon Musk and or his legal team, hey, you may want to be careful?
Yeah, so I'm not familiar with precedents like that. Usually when we're thinking about these kinds of cases, there are instances where somebody's giving $1 or $5, some of these cases going back to the 1970s, giving you a small amount of money to register to vote. And there are people who observe it. There's an investigation that happens. It can take months, it can take years before they bring those charges. But to come out ahead of it and provide that guidance, right, especially if Musk's team is saying this is legal, we're just signing petitions, we're not registering people to vote, you're putting the Department of Justice injecting itself into a hotly contested, disputed case of interpretation of a criminal law just weeks ahead of the election, which is, I don't think, where the Department of Justice wants to find itself.
No, I don't think they've enjoyed that in the past. Real quickly before I let you go, for these 2 people who've now accepted these checks for $1 million, if something after the fact was found to be untoward, right, or perhaps breaking a law here, would they still get to keep the cash?
Probably not. Sometimes we talk about restitution, or there's sort of the disgorgement that happens for those who have wrongfully taken money in these circumstances. Again, in some of the other cases, we've talked about $1 or $5, so maybe there would be this risk at the back end that there's going to be some kind of disgorgement of the ill-gotten gains. But again, we're sort of in uncharted territory. Usually it's not $1 million that people are giving away in these cases, so it's a kind of a wait and see if that's the case.
Yeah, a lot of zeros. Big difference there. Derek, really appreciate it. Thank you.
With us now, Mae Malin, former Trump White House Associate Counsel and Director of the Independent Women's Law Center, and Paul Begala, CNN political commentator and Democratic strategist. Mae, first to you. If Trump is so sure he's going to win, why is Elon Musk offering to pay people to vote in swing states?
Well, of course, a PAC and the candidate don't talk. By law, they can't talk. But it's interesting. So Kamala Harris has raised $1 billion in 3 months. I mean, this is record breaking, and Trump's money just isn't there. And so I do think actually there is something to super PACs using their money smarter and not just flooding the airwaves. And so, I saw something interesting the other day too.
So buying votes, Mae? Buying votes, that's cool with you?
No. I think that this attention. I think that this makes people pay attention. Who isn't paying attention if there's some sort of $1 million check that someone is receiving? And so getting people's eyeballs, getting people to pay attention to this election is, I think, not just going to be the standard advertisements that we see. I think creativity is warranted in elections.
Paul?
Well, it says something. If Trump had anything in his support, it was enthusiasm. And if you're a billionaire buddy, it's got to be throwing around $1 million to get people to register. I leave legalities aside, just politically, that's not a good look. People leaving his rallies early. We covered it this weekend. He had a rally in Detroit, and they had to reconfigure the arena because he couldn't draw a crowd. He gave that weird performance the other day where he stood and swayed to music for 39 minutes. He's now canceled the speech to the NRA. My God, if you're a Republican, you can't speak to NRA, you got a problem, right? He has canceled CNBC and NBC. He's canceled 60 Minutes. He won't debate. He won't release his medical records either. So there's something going on. When his billionaire buddies are so desperate, they got to throw around $1 million checks. That's telling me something as a strategist, that his enthusiasm is down.